I want to see how far I take squash and how how my journey looks with squash. It gave me everything that I have in my life right now, and I never, took the proper time to love squash the way squash loves me.
Here we are for another edition of Boast About It. I'm here with our team favorite, Juan Santos. Juan, welcome.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
So for those of you that don't know, Juan is a coach here at Open Squash.
Right, so I'm an assistant coach. I usually do green team, which is the beginner level kids in our program. The way I started out was at the front desk, funny enough. And then there was one day, Seth comes up to me, he's like, hey, we're down a coach. Like, it's bad, like we have 10 kids, 2 coaches, we could really use you. And I'm like, you know what, I coached before when I was younger. And I know how to play squash still, because at that point I quit for 3 years. So I didn't know if I was still gonna be able to feed. So I hop on court, I feed, I'm enjoying it. I'm like, okay, this is different. I get out of the court, everything goes well, go back to the front desk, and then Seth's like, hey, do you wanna start coaching? Because that was great. And I was like, sure, why not? Like, I don't really have a job offer or opportunity right now that has to do anything with my major. And I'm not gonna sit around and wait to get an offer. So I was like, sure, I would start coaching. And then there was one summer, they were like, we need another coach for the camps. And I'm like, I could do that. So after I started doing the camps, Peter comes up to me, he's like, we want you to get your level 1, because I didn't even have a level 1.
And level 1, you're talking about the level 1 coaching certificate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I need it? I'm basically coaching now. And he was like, yeah, you need it just for the certificate and for, US squash. Stuff that I learned there was, self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It's really more about like how you set up a lesson, the structures, even small things like when you go to a person and I'm trying to move their swing, even asking like, is it okay if I touch you?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it went great, got my level 1. And then as I started getting better, more into squash, I started doing higher level players, like some high level juniors, like Sean. And then eventually I started doing adults, clinics. And then now, at this point, I'm an assistant coach. I do any level except anything above 5'5", because that's my level. But anything, 5'5" and below, I'm good to go. Usually work with kids, but I could do any age. The oldest I've done was an 85-year-old.
All right.
And that went well, I would say. And what I did with him mostly was just trying to get his confidence back, kind of just hitting the ball, right?
Yeah.
So he was my oldest. My youngest was a 4-year-old. So she was little 4-year-old with 10, even 12-year-olds. Feed her the ball once, already hit it perfect. Like,
wow.
Just naturally.
Is she still
She's still here. Her name is Ai Young. She is my favorite student so far, just because of her attitude.
Yeah.
Like as a 6-year-old having, every 6-year-old, is going to run around, give you energy, but not every 6-year-old is going to come up to you and ask you, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
What can I do to get better? And that to me was like, okay, like she really wants to be here. It's not like her parents are forcing her. It's not that I saw some potential and I want her to stick. Now she wants to be here.
Yeah.
So that's a player we have to watch out for. I think potential like world-class player.
Wow.
You don't get that off. You don't get that.
That's fantastic. But let's rewind and start at the beginning, because if I understand it right, your squash journey started with CitySquash, one of these urban programs that goes into, CitySquash specifically goes into middle schools and then selects some students and helps mentor them and teach them squash. And you got selected as part of that program.
When I started out, I actually was going to try out in 3rd grade because tryouts start in 3rd grade. And the reason I couldn't try out was because I had poison ivy. So I had poison ivy, I couldn't try out. So then I was like, when can I try out again?
So which school was this?
So it was PS205 in the Bronx.
Inside PS205, what was the impression of squash in the school?
The thing about squash was like your ticket. And then when I was younger, I was like, what do you mean by ticket? But as I got older, it was like a ticket of, getting out of that area. Because a lot of kids that go to those schools stay there their whole lives.
And that's what the kids thought, that squash could be their ticket out.
Exactly, their way out. And that's why I was like, okay, I need to try out. Like, this is my opportunity, I need to do this sport, because everyone's talking great about CitySquash, and they travel all over the country, they go to all these tournaments, they sleep in hotels, and I'm like, that's
cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. Then I couldn't try out. Then when I was in middle school, MS45, literally 2 blocks away from my elementary school.
And CitySquash was still in
It's
MS
still
40.
middle school,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
So it's elementary and middle school.
Yeah.
So you could try out in 3rd grade, but then if you don't make it, you could try out again in 6th grade.
Yeah. So you did that.
So I did that. And my middle school was horrible. It was like 2,000 kids, 3 grades. Every class had 40 kids. So I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be here. I
Yeah.
don't want to, if my high school is going to be worse, because it was worse high school than middle school. So I was like, I need to get in this team. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I need to get in CitySquash, right? So I try out, and shout out to Brian Peterson. He was a coach there. He's still a coach now, which is amazing. He was one of the first, I would say, male role models that I had. Because just to, bring it back, I grew up single mother. I knew my dad, but he was never around. So it was just my mom and her and my 3 siblings.
What was your mother doing for a living?
She was working as a cleaner. So
Yeah.
like she would clean commercial buildings, or she would clean houses.
Yeah.
I would go with her sometimes. So she
Yeah.
was just a cleaner and a baker and a bakery. I tried out. I made it, not because of my skills though, because that's what Brian told me. He was like, hey, he came up to me. He was very honest. He was like,
I
listen,
said, you suck?
listen, you suck. You couldn't hit the ball once, but every fitness level we did, you passed it. Every time we made you run, you did it. Every time we made you do something, you did it. So it's like, you want to be here. There's kids that don't want to be here, and we want you to be part of the team. That was the first time, I heard positive reinforcement.
Wow. Man, nice job.
But it was like, I was like, I couldn't hit the ball for 3 months. I just couldn't. It just didn't come natural to me, right?
Yeah.
I was like, how do you swing like this? Because growing up, I played soccer and boxing, funny enough.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to quit because I saw this as my way out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what else to do.
I mean, boxing and soccer, the big overlap with squash is the fitness.
Yep.
But there's no movement overlap at all.
Or even like the way you think about it.
No.
Like in
Yeah.
boxing, you can't play boxing. That's one thing I learned. Like that's why I have my nose is like this. I
Yeah.
actually broke my nose when I was like 5 to 6 years old. I was sparring, and then I accidentally lunged too low, and the kid elbow went up, and then my nose just went. After that, my mom was like, no more boxing. She was like, you can't play boxing. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, people box because they have nothing else to do. You do. Like, you're not going to beat up your head and have CTE, so you have to find something else.
Nice job, Mom. Good job.
I could do it recreationally, but not competitively. So I was like, what else can I do? Squash.
Yeah.
And then in 8th grade, Terrence, so shout out Terrence and Al from CitySquash again, they always
Yeah.
took care of me. They come up to me and they're like, the middle school really likes you, you're getting good grades. I think it's time for you to think about boarding school and private schools, because that's where Eric was going, my best friend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to go with him. I want to go where he's going.
And for those of you that don't know, that's one of the big things in CitySquash is get the kids either in elementary or middle school, and then get them into full ride scholarships into prestigious boarding schools.
And then they came up to me and, they asked me, hey, would you be interested? I'm like, why not? Like, why am I? I'm not going to say no. I've never done this. This is a good opportunity. Turns out 2 months later, I couldn't do it. Not because of my grades or anything, it's just the schools weren't willing to pay my tuition because of my behavior outside of the court. I used to get in a lot of fights,
No way.
Yeah, with kids around.
You're such a, I can't even imagine.
Nah, I was worse back then. It took me a long time to be patient, but it's just a different environment where I'm from. It's not like different parts of New York City. It's not like the Sohos or the Brooklyns. Over there it's gritty. It's true. A lot of people say that where they're from when they say they're from the Bronx, but it's true. You learn at an early age how to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Because nobody's gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
So they said, we can't get you to boarding school. Sorry about that. And I'm like, it's okay. What's the next step? So they're like, we could get you into a good high school in the city. So I was applying to, Stuyvesant, Brooklyn Tech, those sort of schools, Bronx Science.
Yeah.
And none of them accepted me. And it wasn't because of the grades again, it was just random. They
Yeah.
put you in the lottery, they roll the dice.
So
boom.
competitive. Yeah.
If you get in, you get in. Congrats. If you don't, better luck next time.
Yeah.
So I got into the worst schools in the Bronx, funny enough. It was called Urban Assembly for Career in Sports. In my 14-year-old mind, I'm like, oh my God, a school for sports. That's so cool. First day I show up, metal detectors, cops patting you down. I get in, I'm like, what is this school for? And then I later find out it was a school for kids that get kicked out of other schools, and this is their last chance. And I'm like, why am I in this school? And they're like, that's the only school that accepted you. I was like, let me just finish this school year and see what happens. So I finished my freshman year.
Are you still doing CitySquash?
I'm still in CitySquash, definitely. I would go to practice after. There was no courts in the school, obviously, but I did track and field.
Yeah.
And I did soccer.
Yeah.
So my freshman year went great. I was taking like junior year classes. So I was, doing my best to get out of the school.
Yeah.
There was one semester when I got like 103 average. The principal comes up to me. He tells it to my face, hey, we can't do anything for you in this school. Like, you could graduate, but we don't know where you're gonna, like, we're not gonna be enough for you to go to like a prestigious college. Like, we need to help you get out of here and like go somewhere else. I'm like, where else can I go? Like, I go to a camp for CitySquash.
Yeah.
And this camp is in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. With
a family named the Cerula family, another family, shout out to them, that helped me out a lot. And I was playing squash there, it was a week. They used to take us on boat rides. We went on like morning jogs on the beach. It was amazing.
That sounds lovely.
Right? And then I leave the camp, and you're only supposed to go there once.
Yeah.
But they invite me again, the second time, which never happens. And the family wanted me there. It wasn't like the staff wanted me there, because then that would be unfair to the kids, but they wanted me there. I'm like, sure, I'll go again. Why not? It was amazing.
Yeah.
And
Such a difference between your high school experience. Oh my God.
Way different. And I get a call at like around 10 p.m. when I'm a sophomore. And they're like, hey, have you ever heard of Poly Prep? I'm like, nah, what is Poly Prep? And it's a private school, an independent private school in Brooklyn, in Bay Ridge. And they're like, they want you in the school, full tuition, full ride, no questions asked.
Oh, dude.
And I'm like, but, part of me was like, how? I couldn't get into boarding school.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into these good schools, these public schools. How am I in this school? But I didn't ask any questions. I was like, you know what? I'll take it. I don't care how far it is.
You
it's
know
way
the
better
expression,
than this
don't
school.
look a gift horse in the mouth.
Exactly. Cool. But they made me repeat ninth grade because they just wanted me to get accustomed to the school.
Yeah.
I was still doing squash. They also had a squash team. So I was like,
they got
perfect.
some great courts. They got 2 glass courts.
Yep. And it was perfect. I'm like, this is literally amazing. Like, I went in there and I was having the time of my life. Lunch was actual lunch. Like, they served us lunch to our face, rice and beans. You had macaroni and cheese. You had chicken. It wasn't like, like the frozen food that they give you in public schools. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm in this school. And part of me was still feeling that chip on my shoulder. Like, part of me was still like, I still have to work harder than everyone else. I still have to make sure my behavior is on par, for sure. Because there was times in that school where I was tempted to do something out of, character, but I stopped myself because I was like, I can't mess up this opportunity.
Well done. That takes real willpower.
It took a lot of willpower.
Discipline. Well done.
And the squash team was happening in my freshman year, and we had these amazing kids. And when I was a freshman, that team was the best ever in the history of Poly Prep. Like, we were the best in the state. We were going to nationals. We were playing in schools like Bronx, Haverford. And seeing that made me like want to work harder, because my journey from 7th grade to 10th grade, 3 years, wasn't the best in squash. Like, I would do it because I loved it, wanted to practice. But I didn't have that extra drive, that extra motor in me to be like, I need to do this better, I need to do that better. I went to practice, went home, that's it.
Yeah.
But when I saw these kids playing, I'm like, I want to be on this team.
Yeah.
And I went up to the coach and I'm like, how can I be on this team? Because my skill wasn't there yet, right?
Yeah.
I would play number 10 or 9 on the team, but I was like, I want to play 7. Because 7, you play matches. And he was like, come to practice, try out. Tried out, made the team. I didn't play 7 until nationals, because one of the players got injured. And they put me in as a sub, and it was the best time playing squash, I didn't win my matches, but it was fun, just being on court. So after that, my love for squash went up again. 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, practicing, running, really grinding my ass off. And at the same time, though, that school made you do 3 sports. You had to do 3 sports in the fall, winter, and spring. Yeah. So I did soccer, squash, and ultimate frisbee. But I was starting to think about college.
Yeah, so tell us about that, because a school like Poly Prep, the prep in Poly is about preparatory for college.
Exactly, and it's amazing. That school is amazing. So I had options, I had a lot of options. But the only problem was, again, the financial aid that I would receive. Yeah. And it was the same thing as like... And
your mother's still cleaning,
and
still your father's still not a big part?
At this point, though, no, my father was gone. Yeah. After I was 14 years old, Gone. Never saw him until my 21st birthday. So I went up to the staff and I'm like, okay, I want to go to these, and all these schools. She was like, oh my God, I love your enthusiasm, but we need to hold it down to 5 schools. I'm like, okay, I don't want to leave my family behind, because one of the things that I've always was consistent in my life was my family. You know, my little brother, my little sisters, and my mom, just the 5 of us. So I don't want to leave far. I want to stay in the city. And I was like, I want to go to NYU. I want to go to Columbia, and I want to go to Hunter. It doesn't matter where. I just want to stay in the city. They're like, okay, we could try that. Another staff member from CitySquash, her name was Justina. Shout out to her. She was like, hey, have you ever heard of Posse? And I'm like, no, what's that?
Posse?
Posse. So it's a leadership scholarship. It's hard to get into. I found out later.
How do you spell it?
P-O-S-S-E.
Okay.
So it's like a group of people, like the Posse, like that. Because that scholarship was a full ride.
Paid for by Posse.
Paid for by Posse. You name it, if they're partnered with them, you're going to go there. But to get there, you have to do an interview, then another interview, then a group interview, then another smaller group interview, and then the final interview. And mind you, there was 5,000 kids in the beginning. By the time the last interview rolls around, there's only 100, 200, and then only 10 of those get selected. So I had to go through 6 different processes. Each time, you would think I would be, worried, nervous, but something in me told me, no, I got this in the bag. The same way, that same feeling I had when I was in 9th grade, when they sent me to that horrible school, I was like, no, I got this in the bag. Something in me was just telling me this is gonna happen. And I ended up getting it. And they told me choose 5 schools out of this list. And the schools were Villanova, Middlebury, Williams, Cornell, and NYU.
Well,
so I
got NYU.
I got NYU. That's what I wanted. And I was like, what's Middlebury?
Why didn't you go to NYU if it was right there?
I had a conversation with my mom, and she was telling me, like, you don't owe anything to us. You have to experience life on your own. I have to let you go. Even though I was the one that was always staying in the Bronx. And I toured Middlebury, and it was beautiful. Beautiful campus. But what really drew me to Middlebury was just that feeling of, like, it reminded me of back home. Like mountains, rivers, everywhere you go, there's like a little creek, or if you go up Vermont, there's like these farms and these animals. I was like, I want to go there because I feel like I'm going to have a peace of mind, and it's different from the city where I have to always look behind my back. But also the squash. The coach there was kind of reminding me of the coaches from CitySquash. His name was Mark Lewis. I tried out. Again, I wasn't good enough for the team. That was a recurring theme in my life, the squash. Wasn't good enough for the team. And again, my freshman year in Middlebury, the team was the best ever. We finished 13 in the country the previous season, so we were like aiming for 12, 11, playing schools like Harvard, Yale, and Harvard at that time had Victor Cruin as their number 1. And
for those of you that don't know, he's currently number 9 or number 8 in the world.
And they had also Ali Farag a few years prior.
Ex-world number 1. Yeah.
So I was like, we're playing schools like that. And I'm number 16 in the team.
Yeah.
I made it because, again, fitness, they would do these fitness tests, and I would just, run my ass off, try to do the best I can. Mark Lewis comes up to me. He's like, hey, you're on the team. You're going to be last place, though. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm on the team. That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
And throughout the season, I started doing meditation. I started practicing something different. I started practicing how to control my mental state, how to just control my impulses, because I was still very impulsive at that time, and very little would take to take me off. Throughout the season, I got better. Boom, Nationals comes around. And this time, the Nationals we're playing 3 teams. We're playing in Maryland. We're playing Navy, and we're playing Williams and Yale. And the coach goes, hey, you won all your challenge matches so far. I'm going to make you play 10, maybe 9.
Wow.
And 1 through 9 play. So I'm like, 9? All right, yeah, I want to do it. Even 10, because you still play. Even if it doesn't count, I'm still playing, and there's still a crowd watching you. And that was probably one of the best experiences I've had with squash. We beat Navy, and the Navy game was one of my most memorable because I played. I lost, but I lost in 5. But then my teammate won in 5. But the thing I liked about that is I was playing a kid who was in the Navy, who ran every day, who did fitness every day.
Yeah.
and I made him throw up.
Yeah.
I made a kid like that throw up. That to me was like a win. Because these kids in the Navy team are like crazy fit. They have to be. They're in the goddamn Navy.
Yeah.
So I was like, the fact that I made him play till 5 and made him throw up, even though I threw up too. Like that was an accomplishment.
Wow.
So we both ran out of the court at the same time. The games were long. It was like the longest I've ever played. It was probably over an hour. And I wasn't doing anything special. I was just getting everything.
Yeah.
Getting everything. And after I left that trip, I was like, wow, like this is amazing. Like I've never felt like this before. Even though I lost, I was like, on top of the world. I was like, my fitness is really good. I never had a chance to test it, but now I know it's good. And even if I don't have the skills, I have something to work with. And COVID happens.
Oh.
When COVID happened, it just shut down my squash journey. I was here, and then COVID happened, everything crashed. And I quit the team because we weren't even able to play or practice. We would have to practice with masks, no doubles, just by yourself on the court with a mask, solo. Can't do that. I didn't want to do it. I had other things I wanted to do instead, like still work out and stuff. So I quit.
You still kept going to school, right?
I was still in Middlebury, but I was work from home. It was from home, sorry. On a personal level, COVID was the worst time for me personally, just because I was in a good path. I was everything in my life was going good, and then COVID happened and everything just fell apart.
Yeah, I think it did for so many.
Yeah, and I lost a lot of people. Lost my grandfather, my uncle, but something in me also changed. Like I started getting lazy. I didn't have that drive, that discipline in me anymore. And I wasn't doing the best things in college at that point. I was drinking a lot. I wasn't doing the things I was supposed to because I lost my discipline, I lost my drive. And I came back my senior year because now we were allowed to play. Everything was back to normal. I didn't go back to the team. So at that point I quit for 3 years. No playing, no hitting the ball, not even like thinking about squash. My mind was elsewhere. And to circle it all back.
But at that point, when you quit squash, what did you think you were going to do? Like you knew you were going to get to college. Were you thinking about beyond college?
Yes, at that point, one thing I was doing though was thinking about career-wise, and one thing that really fascinated me was finance. Yeah. Finance, just the way money works, because obviously growing up with no money, you start to think like, how do I get money, right? Yeah. The typical thing. But to me, what really stuck to me was the ethical side of business. I took a class called business ethics. Yeah. That to me spoke to me. The teacher was a lawyer, environmental lawyer, who would go against big companies that were doing horrible practices, and he gave us a project. And for the first time in my life, I had something that I wanted to do, that I had a drive for, that wasn't squash or sports. It was something that I liked and something that I was good at, but something that I also had some fulfillment from. I would sit in my dorm, research, print out papers, crunch down the data on these like coding programs like Stata, and I was like, I really like this. Like this is amazing. And it wasn't because I would make money from it. Obviously, money was one of the goals I had, but it was mostly about what really related to me, and it was the ethical side of business. How can we be ethical but still make money? Yeah. Right? Because there is a way. Yeah. There certainly is a way 100%. To do that. And I was like, I really like this. So during that time when I wasn't playing squash, I was taking finance classes because our school, so Middlebury didn't have a finance degree, but it did have a finance like minor. Yeah. Where if you took a certain amount of finance classes, you would get a certificate, and you would get, like something to help you apply to jobs. So I started looking for other jobs, and before, open squash, I was doing like dishwashing, working at a pizza shop. But I had a job though, because some of my friends couldn't even find jobs like that at that time. Yeah. But I had, open squash. I heard of it because of CitySquash. And at that point, I still wasn't playing squash. I still wasn't. Until they asked me to coach.
Which is how we started this conversation.
Exactly.
I mean, that's an incredibly moving story, I have to tell you. But now you're here. As I said at the beginning, you're one of our favorite coaches. You've got these students that you like. What do you think is going to happen with your career? Will you stay in squash? Are you going to try to get a different kind of job?
That's a good question, actually. I was having a conversation with my girlfriend, and then I was telling her my whole life. And she was like, one thing you never talked about but always helped you? Squash. And then when she said that, I was like, you're right. The one thing that was always there for me was squash. When I needed something the most, squash was there. When I needed something to bring me back to life, squash was there. When I was at my lowest point, what was the only thing keeping me going? Squash. And it wasn't like, the sport itself, but what I did with the sport, who I met with the sport. I met these families that were helping me out. And when I graduated poly, I found out that the family that invited me to Martha's Vineyard was the one that paid for my tuition.
And you didn't even know.
And I didn't even know because they didn't want me to know. They didn't want me to feel like I only made it to that school because of them. They only told me after, and I was like, wow, that was amazing.
Wow.
Squash was always there for me, and I always kicked it to the curb. I always, pushed it to the side, like, who cares about squash? Like, I'm done with squash. And now, at this point, as a 26-year-old, I think it's the same drive I've had when I was in college, in middle school, and every time I had it, I have it now, and where I just want to see how far I take it. I'm doing sessions by myself, I'm soloing, I'm putting in the work outside of the courts, outside of my coaching job. I'm running, doing fitness, but I'm also focusing on what I eat, on how I hit the ball more, on little things that I would focus on when I was younger. Career-wise, I'm still doing finance on the side. I'm still doing like small projects for these small firms as a part-time job.
And I didn't know. That's great.
Yeah, so that's why sometimes when you see me like running out, like ready to go, because I have to go and do these jobs for these people. What I really want to focus on is just advisory, like environmental and geopolitical and social political. Like,
do you think you'll start by working for a firm?
I think so. I started looking on LinkedIn, having interviews with people from Mexico City, and there's some firms, like some startups coming up that have job opportunities. And since I speak Spanish and I came to the US, I talked to one of the people there, and they're like, you would be a good candidate if you ever want to have a job here in Mexico City.
Yeah.
But putting that on hold right now because of, I want to see how far I take squash and how my journey looks with squash, because my girlfriend was right. I always kicked it to the curb. It gave me everything that I have in my life right now. And I never, took the proper time to love squash the way squash loved me.
Dude, that's an amazing story. I'm sure you know it, but the squash community is always here for you if there's anything we can do. Thank you so much for spending the time chatting with us.
It was great.
It's been awesome. It's great. Thank you.
No problem.